Well, they're not James Bonds, but they could be just as important. Hey guys, and if you hadn't guessed from that little intro, today we're talking about agents. And the way that I'm actually going to pitch this video is that it's going to be in two parts. So we're cutting this in twain. And the first part is going to be for those of you who have just started in the industry, are just starting to get your list of things together, which I would put as being your showreel, your headshots, and starting your training. That would be where I would start. And if you haven't got those things, then I would say go back and start on them before even looking at getting an agent at this point. Because you've got to think of an agent as being the person that's actually going to try and sell you. They're your distributor and you're the product. And if you as the product don't have anything that shows what you can do, they're not going to be able to sell you. And that's the simple way of looking at what an agent does. He sells a product, you, to casting directors. So he's your distributor. And that'll actually help you with thinking about how this business works. Because it is a business. And that's the way you've got to think about it. It's a little bit scary, but we'll get there. So if that's you, that's what I'd recommend. And if you are someone that's got your training together, that you've been doing your workshops, you've got a list of credits and a showreel, whether that's from putting together little scenes yourself or actually being involved in films and getting that footage, or doing specific showreel scenes with directors or with friends, however you've done it, and you've got that body of work, I'd say that's when you're ready to actually start looking at an agent. And I do kind of make this point to not make light of it, because getting an agent is quite important. And it also depends on how important this industry and how far you want to go with it is to you. Because if you do want to start working on the major films as an extra, or get considered for roles in TV shows, in commercials, on big set films, you are going to need an agent, because you are not going to get access to those in Australia without one. And that's really the crux of it, because if you are wanting to go that way, then you need it, but you need to make the decision on how committed you are, because getting an agent is something not lightly entered into, because they're going to ask for your commitment to make castings, to be on set, and you've got to be able to commit to that. And so it's going to mean that you're in a position whereby your work's going to allow you to do that, where your school's going to allow you to do that, where your life is going to allow you to do that. So it's not just a simple question of, oh, am I ready for an agent? Oh, I want an agent. Oh, I want to act. There's all these other questions that go around it that you need to ask yourself. Because there's a lot of people I've worked with that haven't, and they get themselves into a situation whereby they end up pissing off their agent because they can't make castings. And the reason that agents get pissed off with that is because agents run on commission, and that's going to be a very important point coming towards the end. So say that we've now got that checklist up to where it needs to be, and you're ready to go and get an agent, but your Google searching is not really giving you the information you want. You've got a list of agents, but you don't know where they're based, you don't know who they are, you don't know who to email, who to call, that kind of thing. That's where you need the BizBook. The BizBook is a website full of absolutely golden nuggets worth of information for actors and for models and for photographers and anybody that is wanting to pursue anything within this arena in film and television. And that was put together by two casting directors who have a wealth of knowledge and decided it was about time that they gave us actors and those of us that want to be on screen a bit of a leg up. And to you guys, to the guys at BizBook, just for me, thank you. Absolutely thank you, because without you guys and without that support, I wouldn't have been able to get where I am, and I wouldn't be doing this video right now. So I'm not just plugging the BizBook for the sake of plugging the BizBook. They've got fantastic information on there. So it's $50 to sign up, or it was. Don't quote me on that. Check out the website, have a look. The link to the website is in the show notes. So please scroll down after the video, hit that link, and start seeing the resources that they've got there. But one of the big resources that they've got is to do with agents. So on the BizBook, they've got a list of agents on there, and it's listed by state here in Australia. And so you're not going to be getting misleading information about, if you're in Victoria, getting agents from WA, from Queensland, from New South Wales, unless you want one, of course. So it's going to allow you to be more specific on who you're looking at. It also allows the users of the BizBook to actually review those agents, along with anything else on that website. That's why it's such a great resource, is because there is actually honest opinions on there from people that have been with these agents, that have worked with these casting directors and things like that. So you know who you need to be going to and be going to see. And so with the BizBook, it should, for most of the, especially the big agents, have links through to their websites or have phone numbers there. So give those a call or reach out with an email. Email is probably the best, because a lot of people don't have time for phone calls these days. These guys are busy people. So if you send them an email and send them through links to your showreel and what you've got, so your resume, they'll actually be able to then get back in touch with you if they like the look of you and set up a meeting, a interview, if you like. And the reason I use the word interview is that I do want to put this as being something very business-like, because this is business for them and also for you. And it's the business of you. I'm going to talk about branding later on down the track. I'm sorry, I know I'm circling around, but you've got to remember that you yourself are a brand, and that you have a particular look, you have particular characters, and a good agent will talk to you about this. And the thing that you need to remember with going into these agent interviews is that, yes, they want to actually sit down and have a chat with you. They like the look of you and what you've got, and they just want to see whether you're good enough to be on the books because of your commitment. But the other thing that you've got to remember is this interview is just as much you interviewing them. Think about this as being the first date with an agent. And if you're actually seriously dating or ever been in a situation where you're seriously dating, you understand how important a first date actually is. It gives you an impression of this person outside of the context of the real world. And so when you're sitting in the interview with your agent, you are just as much interviewing them for whether you can work with them, whether you can build a relationship with them, just as much as they can see the same thing in you. So if you go into an agent that railroads you and tells you this and tells you that and doesn't give you a word, might not be the agent for you. Depends on how you like to run things. But remember, at the end of the day, you've got to be happy that in 6 months' time that you can talk to this person, that you can have an honest conversation with them, and that you can call them on their shit just as much as they can call you on your shit. It's a two-way street. It is very much a relationship. And that's a very key point to understand. I'm in a very lucky situation with my agent that I have not only a fantastic professional relationship with him, I have a very honest and open relationship with him in general, where we don't just talk about the industry and what's going on, we actually talk about other things as well. He's actually a friend. And I would very honestly put to you to get somebody on your team that you can see being friends with and actually having a relationship with, because I think that's far more important than having someone that's well connected and can talk a big game. Because trust me, we can all talk a big game when we need to. But it's people that you can actually connect with that is the importance in this team, because you need somebody that's going to be on your side. The other thing that I want to talk about while we're here as well is something that's very, very important to remember. Any agent, any agency that asked you to pay a sign-up fee that has nothing to do with going on a database is one you should run from. Run as fast as you damn well can. Because that practice is actually illegal. And we've all heard the stories about it from the States, about dodgy agents and them trying to fleece you out of money. And it happens here in Brisbane. I hate to say it, and I hate the fact that they exist in our industry here, but they do. And so anybody actually asking you for money that has nothing to do with going on databases such as Casting Networks, Showcast, eCaster if they're still using it, run. Because it's illegal and they're not allowed to do it. I have heard stories of people paying out hundreds of dollars a week, a month, to be on the books of some of these agencies, and all it is doing is lining their pockets. So please, if you have an agent that does that and it's not in any way related to the industry or any of the casting websites that you need to be on to get work, run. Delete their number from their phone, do not answer their calls, avoid them at all costs. They're the guy at the bar trying to spike your drink. It's the best way I can put it. But the good ones will fight for you. And the good ones will work their ass off for you. So that's the one you want to find. And they're out there. I think that brings us to the end of part 1. I've had my say with what I've seen and what I know from talking and dealing with agents and casting directors. And if you've had a different experience or you want some more information or you've still got questions, please put them on the post below and I will do my best to get back to you as soon as I can. I'm also planning on having to do rebuttal stuff later on down the line because things change. I come across information that I haven't had before. This is a learning thing for me just as much as it is for you, and we should always be learning. So please, anything new, any experiences, any extra questions, please put them in the show notes. But otherwise, we'll be moving on to part 2 and talking to those people who have been with their agent a little while longer than most, and things might not be running as well as they previously have been. I'm Sam Liddell. This has been Talent Talk Back. Until next time, I'll see you later.